All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Creators Outlet. Today we have a special guest, Mike Doherty, local New England illustrator, freelance illustrator. He usually is at every single convention everywhere until 2020 said, screw you guys, you're going home. Mike, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Will. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on. Episode 12.
12. Lucky number 12.
Lucky number 12. The Dirty Dozen.
There we go.
So, how long have you been doing what you do now?
I have been in the local comic book scene first as a collectibles dealer. I started that when I was 19. I just had my 49th birthday. So I've been around a long time. Do
the math.
About two-thirds of the time I've been floating around on this chunk of rock. So,
and after being a collector's dealer for so long, you just decided you wanted to dive into the art side. And
well, I had always been making stuff, and I had a little bit of my own artwork on my tables for probably 5 years before I quit being a dealer, which was about, 14 or 15 years ago. And then I started with by doing sketch cards. They were a brand new thing. Rittenhouse Archives was doing them with their Star Trek product, and I was like, those are cool. I always had been a baseball card collector as a kid, so they appealed to me very greatly. So I started doing sketch cards, and I've been doing original art shows ever since. What's great about sketch cards is you can show up with a backpack and have plenty of product to sell. So, and ironically lately, especially during the pandemic, that has been kind of my release. That's what I've been doing. Most of my work has been sketch cards, and still some sketch covers, but more sketch cards than anything else. So I'm back at that.
Keeping busy.
Trying.
It sucks because you can't go out to shows and sell anything. But on the other hand, you usually stay home in your studio and do all the work. So it's just forcing you to basically do more work for when you can finally get out.
When I can get out, I'll have quite a backlog of things at that point. I'll have new sketch cards, some new products too. I'm doing I've been buying baseball cards. Some of the companies have been doing baseball cards that come in like these small baseball card sized frames. So I've been buying the baseball card ones, prying the cards out, and doing my own sketch cards in these frames. So,
the acrylic ones, Nightmare Before Christmas that I bought for my daughter that you did.
No, actually, no, not those. They're actually metallic. Here, I have an example. It's a silver frame.
Oh, that's cool.
So, and then you put a backer card in the back, and that'll have my information and stuff on them. So, they're a little bit smaller than actual sketch cards because the frame is actually baseball card sized.
Mm-hmm.
But they've been doing them for super high-end baseball card products. They've been doing them for high-end Star Wars products. So, and they've been doing lower-end cards with them. So I've been buying the lower-end baseball and football cards and putting them into those. So that'll be my new thing that I have when I do conventions. So, along with all my other work.
Oh, yeah. The paintings, the sketch covers, the sketch cards, commissions.
Commissions. I got candles now.
Candles?
I do. I have candles that have my paintings on them. So, like prayer candles.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've been looking to add new products, and because I do a lot of horror conventions, candles and horror conventions kind of really they're well. So, been making those. So, it's also on the list of things to do.
What can I create today?
Never slow down. That's my trick. Is just keep moving. Just stay one day ahead of the curve. That's all.
That's what I'm doing with all this. So now, if my failing memory serves, we originally met at an event at Reagan Hurst's comic shop in Providence.
The original Rococos was the Star Wars issue 1 release party.
Oh yeah, that's right.
On the Wednesday, the original Wednesday. I came down and did that, and then I was there for Saturday also. That was the first time. Yeah, that was the first time we met.
Yeah.
You bought a couple of sketch covers off me.
Yeah, I commissioned you to do an Alec Guinness Obi-Wan cover because I was collecting all the stuff, the prior Star Wars covers when Dark Horse had it.
Yeah,
doing all the artist that does the action figure covers.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed the Obi-Wan cover, and the cheapest I could find the Obi-Wan cover online for was like $50, and I'm like, well, if I got to pay $50 for an Obi-Wan cover, I'd rather have an original art Obi-Wan cover.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. I really do. That was fun. Obi-Wan's one of my favorite characters out there, so I do love drawing him. And Alec Guinness was the original, spiritual leader for people my age who weren't overly religious. It was cool to kind of see him, do his thing. So
yes, he had the back room packed with you guys.
On Saturday, it was super packed with us. Wednesday wasn't too bad, but I was lucky because I was there on Wednesday. I kind of got to set up on Wednesday and kind of leave everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good time.
Yeah, I remember I went on Wednesday, and they're like, they're all going to be here Saturday too. I go, okay, so I came back Saturday.
Yep.
I got the commission. I got the commission from you. I shot the bull with Scott Hamilton. Yep. Because he had a book with some of his sample workout, and one of them was the commission, the Venom commission he did for J-Bo.
Okay, cool.
So I go, oh, showing off J-Bo's artwork, huh? He goes, no, I'm showing off the artwork I did for J-Bo. I go, I know. And Jim was there, and his son was doing some, getting into doing some art, and he was doing some sketches.
Yep.
Tim was there complaining it was way too cold.
Dude, if Wednesday was cold, Saturday was cold too, but at least I was prepared for it from having been there all day Wednesday.
Mm.
That was a chilly day in that old store.
And I can't remember the other artist's name that was in the corner.
Eli?
Yes.
Yeah, his stuff is amazing.
I bought 3. I know I bought I bought 3 books off of him.
Yeah, his stuff is just, it's next level. It's super fine arts. Bill Sienkiewicz, but he studied with not Bill Sienkiewicz, but in one of the artists in that range, John J. Muth, maybe he might have studied with John J. Muth, at whatever school he went to, School of Visual Arts, I think. Mm-hmm. But his stuff is next level. It's really good.
Yeah, and he was just doing like. What he was doing was hardcore Japanese style
brush stuff. Yeah,
brush stuff. I'm like, I go. Oh, you're doing that next level David Mack stuff, huh?
Yep.
No. Like, oh, I love him. I go. So do I. I got to meet him a few times. He's awesome.
I get to have dinner with him one night.
Oh, that's cool.
After Boston Comic Con, yeah, that was a good time. Went out to sushi.
Oh, he's a super chill guy though.
super, super chill. It was one of those dinners where, I got invited and I was like, I'll go, but I don't have any right to be there. So
I'm just here as security.
yeah, that's I was just another fan hanging out,
And because I remember I bought 2 books off Eli that day because he did one that was a caricature of Luke, but he did like long, like you could see the brush strokes were indicating like the long Jedi robes on him.
Yep.
Going across, and he did another one that was that would have been a cover from Empire, where he did the probe droid.
I love the probe droid. He's one of my favorites.
And I know he did another one because after that, I think I commissioned like 2 more covers off him.
Good for you.
Just because I love the stuff. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
His work is amazing. His work is amazing. So
on an average good year, how many conventions are you set up at?
Well, I break it down into 2 different things. Conventions, probably 20. But convention days, because some of those are 3 days, or because I do out to San Diego. So some of them are 5-day events. So I would say I probably do 40 days a year at conventions, between the multi-day ones, and then sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 events in a weekend. I've done that. I did a comic show on a Saturday in the morning, a horror thing that night, and then a comic show the next Sunday morning. So I did 3 events in one weekend.
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, I don't have much else going on, so.
And then if you have the rare weekend off, you take advantage of it.
Well, I do try and see my kids eventually, So.
Speaking of which, how was the camping trip?
Oh, it wasn't camping. We were down at the beach.
Oh.
My parents live in Marshfield, right on the beach. So I grabbed the kids for 2 weeks and just kind of shut down everything, and we hung out down that way. So it was good because I hadn't seen them since February because of the whole COVID thing.
Exactly.
So we got to spend 2 weeks hanging out at the beach.
It's a good decompression time.
Oh, it was awesome and totally necessary after everything that's been going on. So.
Oh yeah.
But we shut the phone. I shut the phone off. I shut the stuff on. Checked in once in a while, but didn't do much but hang out with them most of the time. So it was good.
Which is a perfect way to spend a couple of weeks.
Yep. It was nice to just be out of the house too.
Oh yeah. I know. Now that doctors are taking patients again, I go, ooh, I get to leave the house today?
Never thought you were psyched up about that, huh?
My PCA yelling at me, put your mask on. And I'm like, oh, it's not. But I bought some of the like the gator scarf masks because they're a little more comfortable.
Yeah,
I bought one of them is a big sinister clown face with blood all over the teeth.
Oh, nice.
So I wore that yesterday to the office to get my cortisone shots in both knees.
Ah, okay. They must have been psyched seeing you come in. Ah! I actually bought a 3D printed mask that is Darth Vader's.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That's cool.
It's super cool. My buddy Chris down in New Jersey prints those, but on top of that, he's been printing face shields for medical professionals. So I think he's donated like 3,000 face shield.
Wow. That's a lot. Yeah.
But he also too he was taking donations. You could donate a spool of filament. So yeah, he's done a lot. Chris is a pretty cool guy. Used to be in the punk band Mucky Puppy. So
I know. Who was it? Our friend who I always refer to as Captain Morgan, Brandon Berry,
okay.
was showing a 3D printed Venom mask to J-Bo.
Oh, I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that was
with all the teeth.
That was so rad. The teeth are coming out and the tongue is molded out and everything. And I'm like, oh. So I tagged Spider-Man Corey Lancaster in the in the post, and he just put up an emoji with the hard eyes everywhere.
Well, when I met Corey, it was before he was doing Spider-Man. He was doing Venom. Mm-hmm. So, he's right on there too. So.
Well, him and I live in town. I'm just waiting for him to get his car fixed. We can hang out again.
Nice.
He came over the other week. We hung out for a couple of hours, just chilling and stuff. So.
No, he's been to a lot of conventions lately, just kind of hanging out with me too, which is good. We did that print last October for Randy House's show up in New Hampshire.
Oh yeah.
And where I was trying to bring cosplayers to shows and do paintings of them all. So I did. He came, Stephen Cuddle, the Boston Superman.
Oh yeah.
Allison Blunderland, she does Red Hood, so we did a print of her. Nightmare Worcester was there. We did a print of him as Freddy. Who else was there? Was that everyone?
Matches?
No, Matches couldn't make it. He had another event that day. Matches and I are gonna do an event one of these days, once events come back.
We'll try to kidnap him in his Batmobile and bring him down to Wild Time Comics for the.
There you go.
For the show.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm gonna have a painting done for that show. I think. I gotta have to talk to the client, and we'll see how we're gonna do with that. I have a secret project.
Ooh.
Secret-ish. So it'll be a dual print release between myself and a promoter. So
that'll be good.
I hope. So.
Yeah.
Been reading anything interesting these days?
I've been reading a bunch of indie and Kickstarter stuff.
There you go.
From doing this show.
Yeah.
And tomorrow night, the other podcast is on. Thomas Hewlett and I do a podcast called "Okay, Boomer."
Perfect.
And what we do is we deep dive and we do we give our review at the end, our star review at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But we deep dive. We go page by page through gold and silver and bronze age books.
That's cool.
And because it's been staring me in the face for 2 weeks, this week we're actually doing the All-Star Squadron #1.
Nice.
But I was not cracking this open to read it.
No.
And my copy isn't here, so we got the digital copy and
there you go.
And shared it and read it.
Nice.
We've did a whole bunch of stuff. We've done Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, first issue.
Oh, nice. Mark Schultz, right?
Yep. We did a Savage Sword of Conan magazine.
Oh, cool.
Like 15. It was a Neil Adams one.
Nice.
One of the projects that Neil could make the deadline on. So the other artist who was a regular Conan artist that they brought in to help him finish um, wrote a letter in the back of the letters column and basically ratted him out.
Oh,
Said he couldn't make the deadline for, and mentioned the month that it was due.
yeah.
So issue 13 was just a reprint of another Conan story.
Huh. Wow.
And he wasn't making the deadline again, so they had to call us in because they didn't want to run another thing.
Print.
But on on his defense, it was 60 pages, like 60, 68 pages, so it ended up being like a double-sized issue.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell where it was. Sometimes it was just the finishes, and other times it was like full blown, and you could tell when it was Neil and the other actual Conan artist, and when it was just the other guy's crew doing the finishes, because it's like, well, it's still decent, but it's a little more sloppy.
Right on.
But it was a great story, and there was a backup story in that issue too. So that issue was like close to like 100 pages.
Wow.
But the cover must have taken Neil like a good 3 weeks to do.
Oh, that sounds like Neil. He never wants to put something that isn't Neil Adams quality.
Yeah.
So
He doesn't want to rush himself. He wants to do the job.
he wants to do it, well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Neil's an interesting cat. He really is. I met him a few times.
Yeah, I actually got to sit and talk with them for about 45 minutes because Rhode Island Comic Con they gave me extra early access because I was in the wheelchair.
Oh, right on.
Plus I was pressed, so I get to come in early anyhow.
Right.
And they were setting up, so I hung out. I spotted him. I'm like, oh my God, it's Neil Adams.
Can't miss that blue shirt.
And yeah, I know, right? So I hung out while they were doing the very end of the setup, and I hung out for 45 minutes or so talking to Neil and his daughter and his assistant and everything, and just talking about how telling them what an impact he made on my young comic book nerdy life.
Yep. Tall ears. Big tall ears.
Mm-hmm. I was dressed in the Ben Cooper Batman costume from the age of 3 to the age of 11. So
that's awesome.
One year I wanted to be Superman, and then I opened up the box, and there was no mask. It was like a Lone Ranger mask in the Superman costume.
Yeah, and you're like, that doesn't work for me.
I freaked out, started screaming and crying. I was like 5. Started screaming and crying. I go, that's the Lone Ranger mask. That's not Superman. I'm like, they couldn't make a generic looking Superman Ben Cooper mask face with a little hair curl on it. I'm like, so it was Batman every year.
There you go.
And then one year for Halloween, I wore Randy's Batman costume.
Oh.
Actually, they played a Halloween gig, and everybody dressed up as comic book characters.
Oh, cool.
And I wore Batman, and another friend of ours went as Clark Kent Superman. He had the whole Superman costume under his clothes. But he wears glasses anyhow, so he found a pair of $2 reading glasses that look like the Clark Kent glasses.
Right.
The fedora, the white shirt and tie, and pants and everything.
Yeah.
And he just walked around, and after about an hour, he pulled the tie down, turned the tie down, and just ripped the shirt open a little bit so you could see the S. And he walked around like that. And by the end of the night, he was like that. And 2 hours in, the cowl was off because I was sweating to death.
Uh-huh.
And it was drunk superhero night because I was drinking shots and pitchers, and I thought the pitcher was a mug to me because it has to be a mug. It's got a handle on it.
There you go.
So we had a grand old time. We even brought a snake down,
Like a real snake?
like a real snake. Yeah, he had a ball python, and I was terrified of snakes since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I got hammered, and I was just playing with the snake all night. And he's like, son of Mike Young, give me the snake, give me the snake. I need it. We're doing Alice Cooper next.
Nice. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh.
So what are you reading nowadays, if anything?
I'm reading a little bit here and there. I've got Immortal Hulk 4, 5, and 6, those graphic novels. I haven't read them yet, but
Great series.
1, 2, and 3 were amazing. I got those last year. My kids gave them to me for Father's Day. So I read 1, 2, and 3, and I was like, I'm hooked. And then I bought myself 4, 5, and 6. So I haven't read them yet. But I'm also reading Max Brooks's new novel called The Evolution, and it's about Sasquatch. It's really interesting. It's about this green community that gets trapped after a volcano goes off, and they get assaulted by a group of Sasquatch. So I'm almost done with that right now. But it's great. Max Brooks, is one of my favorite writers. World War Z, such a great novel. The Zombie Survival Guide, totally worth picking up and reading. So
I actually got that in a loot crate probably about 7 years ago.
nice.
And I gave it as a gift to Randy's son
Oh, nice.
because to him every day is Halloween.
There you go.
His bedroom's kind of like a storage closet for Spirit Halloween. So
Yeah, it's my copy is. I've been working on some writing stuff, and my copy is dog-eared and post-it noted, and it's a reference manual if for
Just
something.
just in case, especially this year.
Well, yeah, well, you have no idea. But it's reference material for a project that I might be working on. So we'll see. We'll see.
It's always good. And what got you into comics? Did you read as a kid or?
When I started reading comics, regularly, I was 15, almost 16. But I had always picked up comic books as a kid. My grandmother gave me an extra 25 cents to go down to pick up her newspaper in the morning for her at the corner store during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, I would grab a Spider-Man or a Batman comic. Actually, my grandmother was the one who all my early comic books came from her. I remember one night I went to stay at her house overnight, special grandson time.
Mm-hmm.
She bought one of those Bears 3-packs, where they would repackage,
Oh yeah.
Marvel and DC comics in that 3-pack together for, 75 cents or whatever. And she actually got me one that had a Batman comic in it, but it also had a Monsters on the Prowl or Creatures on the Loose. And I must have read them all together at the same time, because in my head I had this Batman story about this giant monster that was outside the window. And as a kid, I just blended those two things together. But then when I was 15, almost 16, one of my best friends in high school got his driver's license. And he said to me, "Hey, you want to come with me to the comic book shop?" And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing anything this afternoon anyways. And um, so I went to the comic book shop with him. And while I was there, I picked up I think it was Green Arrow number 17, one of the Mike Grell
Oh yeah.
issues. Green Arrow in a snowstorm on a like an Iditarod sled. I remember that. And I picked up a couple of other books. I had always had a bow and arrow as a kid, so the Green Arrow was kind of appealed to me. And I had always watched superhero cartoons and the 70s Marvel movies, the Spider-Man ones and the Hulk. And so I kind of had that predisposition. And then I was at the bookstore looking at art books, and I found the first comics Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle color reprints. And I was like, it had like the first 2 or 3 issues of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles books. I'm like, I picked it up and it wasn't written for kids. So as a 15-year-old, I'm like, it's violent. It has ninjas in it, which, hey, it was the 80s.
Mhm.
There were ninjas in it. But it was super cool and the artwork was amazing. So that was pretty much it. I started heading to the comic book shop with Craig every week after that, and spending $40 a week on comics, which back in 1987, 86, 87, 85, 86, 87 was a lot of books.
It was like,
You got 6 books.
yeah, it was like between 50 cents and $1.25 a book.
Yeah. And so you got a lot of books for those times. And Craig was a really good mentor. He had been reading comics since he was probably 10. So I got his insight into what was really good. Craig was our valedictorian, so he got to. His parents let him do whatever he wanted to as long as he kept his grades up. So he was reading all kinds of stuff that was more mature than what a normal 14, 15, or 16-year-old would be picking up. So some of the first things I read were Dark Knight Returns, The Watchmen, and he was also reading enough indie comics that I was reading probably 50% Marvel and DC, 50% indie comics at the time. So I was reading Badger and Nexus and Grendel, and then I met Hannibal King at a Boston Comic-Con, bought a couple of original pages off of him of Grendel stuff, and
Sweet.
I have 5 pages, I think, from The Devil is Hormonal, which is, Tim Sale's first professional work. So I know Hannibal gave me, I bought off of Hannibal. He didn't buy it. He didn't give them to me, but I bought 2 double-page spreads off of him at Boston Comic-Con one year and had Tim sign them. And I had them behind my back, and I walked up to Tim Sale and I said, Mr. Sale, I got something I'd like you to sign. You probably haven't seen it in a while. And he went, yeah, sure, kid, whatever. And I handed him the 2 double-page spreads. And he's like, I never expected to see these. You're right. I haven't seen these in a while. It was cool because that was the very first issue of Grendel that I bought. So for me, it was super, super important.
Love Grendel.
So good. Every incarnation. There was no bad Grendel story. And considering that the art team changed every story arc,
Mm-hmm.
it was amazing. In fact, Jay Geldof, who did the second to last story arc, I think, the one with the Pope and the church and Epi Thatcher as Grendel. Jay's actually got a Kickstarter out right now where during the pandemic, he started making these toilet paper roll characters. And so he has all these toilet paper roll characters, and he's actually put it all together into a book. It's pretty amazing. It's called Rolled Over or Rolled On by Jay Geldof. So I highly recommend backing that one.
I didn't, of course, get the original Grendels because they were already, you know, in the 80s, $25 was,
That was a lot of money.
that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, but I remember buying the big box set with the poster
Nice.
from the big Comico box set
Mm-hmm.
that had the oversized black, white, and red Devil by the Deed.
I didn't actually get the box set, but I have that book. I have, in fact, up until I would say probably 10 years ago, I had every single Grendel book that was in print. I had the old Kamiko ones. I had all the Mage backup stories. I had the Wizard Comics Gold 1/2. I had the Black White Red book. I had all the Kamiko stuff, all the Dark Horse stuff. So yeah, Grendel's probably been the one that's been my favorite comic book probably since 1988.
Wow.
I think. Yeah. So I've always been a big fan. Matt Wagner is amazing at what he does, and his son Brandon is an amazing colorist on top of it. I have almost everything that Matt's done. So he is the gold standard in my book.
Yeah, I reviewed just about every issue of his third wrap-up arc of Mage.
Nice. So good.
Last year, it was like brought me back, and I'm like, oh, I remember this so well.
So
I also remember I had to buy a bookshelf just to put those on because they didn't fit in anything.
No. They were they were just it's just all so good, he is the storyteller, the artist writer that I think everybody who goes into comics, whether you're an artist or a writer, wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
He really is just, his stories are succinct, they're well written, they're well drawn, and you don't ever look at the work and go, oh, who did that? You always say, that's Matt Wagner,
Oh, yeah,
all the way back from his Kamiko stuff all the way through the stuff he's doing today,
Yeah, the comic art dealer that I was talking about during the pre-show actually gifted me a piece from Matt that he wasn't even supposed to have.
Nice.
And you know how like all his stuff would normally just be like, black and white at the time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This was the first thing he did in color, and it was a pitch for a comic book, like one sheet ad.
Okay.
For a Tootsie Roll commercial, like a Tootsie Roll ad.
Oh, wow.
So it was like the Tootsie Roll Kid. Remember the Tootsie Roll Kid from the 70s? So it was him, but he made him like superhero-y.
Oh, cool.
And, just kind of like bulked him up a little bit like a wrestler.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was like busting like this big Tootsie Roll. Had big giant Tootsie Roll. And
nice.
So I've got that in one of my many boxes.
I'm a little bit jealous. Of that piece. I had the good fortune to meet Matt at Boston Comic Con a couple of years ago, and he did a Grendel head sketch in my Art of Grendel.
Sweet.
Yeah, just it was quick, but it's still awesome. And I have one of the pages from the original Mage story, one of the ones when they're in the hotel. So it doesn't actually have Kevin Matchstick on it. It actually has, but it has all three of the Grackle Flints. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was a cool page. So, but yeah, I've been pretty lucky. I've gotten some really amazing art things from some really amazing artists. So
Yeah, I actually won an auction a couple years ago off of Bob Allman's Inkwell Awards
oh, nice.
for the Jolton Joe Sinat Inking Challenge.
Oh, cool.
So it was original art from Joe.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So he did the pencils.
So Joe did the pencils, and then they would run them off as blue lines,
Right.
and they would have the inking challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So the one I have, I got it back here. I should pull it out. This particular year, this particular challenge, it was Loki,
Oh, nice.
and our friend Rusty Gilligan inked it.
Oh, Rusty. I just heard from him yesterday. So he popped me a message yesterday.
Yeah, I must talk to him like probably, in passing at least, like probably like once a week, once every other week.
There you go. Rusty's a good guy. I haven't seen him in person in a real long time.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't talked to him in a while until the other day. He reached out to me. So
Yeah, as soon as whenever I friended him on Facebook years and years ago, because I was like, looks like you do comic book stuff, friend request, comic book stuff, friend request, and then I saw some stuff that he was putting up, and I started asking him some questions. I go, well, what else? Have you done anything big that, I might know? He's like, you ever seen the Heavy Metal movie? I'm like, yeah. He goes, I worked on the World War II zombie one. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my favorite sequence in the whole thing.
it's amazing.
Don't get me wrong, I love Tarna.
Right.
And I love all the big cartoon boobies throughout the movie, but that sequence was phenomenal.
Absolutely. So,
And I bought some prints. I buy stuff once in a while if I have. I'm gonna laugh when I say extra money.
yeah.
But if I got like $20, $30, extra, my check's about to clear at the first.
Yeah.
I sometimes take advantage and I buy some stuff online from a couple of reputable dealers, and one of the guys I like buying off because he always treats everybody good, great customer service for everybody, is Stephen McDonald from Clan McDonald's.
Okay. Yep.
And he had Esteban Ibas in the store about a month ago.
Nice.
And Ibas brought his personal binders with the new prints he had done up.
Yeah.
And they went through and they did a live, not a live signing, but they did a live sale with Ibas in the store going through the binders. So I got 3 prints signed from Ibas.
Nice.
He did a Mandalorian one. So
Cool.
it's the Mandalorian walking towards you.
Yeah.
And baby Yoda and the egg kind of like off to the side, like half off frame. And behind him is like from the first trailer where they had all the stormtrooper helmets.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On pikes.
Yep.
And he did another one that was his version of the Joaquin Phoenix
Joker
lobby card poster.
Nice.
So it's like half Joker's face, and then you see his hand with the cigarette, and the other side that just has Joker graphic going down the side,
Uh-huh.
and a phenomenal painting of the Incredible Hulk.
Like Mark Ruffalo, Incredible Hulk, or
Like comic, like a comic book Incredible Hulk,
nice.
but upon closer examination,
Mm-hmm.
facial features of Lou Ferrigno.
Nice.
So I'm like, we know Lou goes to every convention, so hopefully one of the small town conventions next year he'll come around and I can bring that and have him sign it too.
There you go.
And then he killed me because I'm like, because they're all signed, and he had some that were like first edition, like limited
Mm-hmm.
to like 200 or 100 copies of the print.
Yeah.
And that was going to be it for you. You didn't want to sell them anymore. But I didn't get any of those. But towards the end, Steven said, "Oh, save up your money because this one was on a Sunday."
Yeah.
He goes, Wednesday night live sale. We've got prints from the personal collection of Bob Layton,
Ooh.
Wolfman and Perez,
Ooh.
and I should know this because I bought one. Jim, not Steranko. Oh, no, that must have been your phone.
That was my phone. Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. Did Dreadstar. Oh, I'm blanking out.
Jim Starlin?
Yes. And Jim Starlin. So I'll never be able to afford a copy of Demon in the Bottle.
Yep.
But I have a limited print of Demon in the Bottle signed by Bob Layton now.
That's okay.
I have a Jim Starlin print, Thanos.
Nice.
But it's a big giant Thanos, kind of like in the clouds.
Okay.
In the background, kind of like the spirit of Thanos behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And in the foreground, it's Thanos fighting Hulk.
Oh, nice.
And then I got double signed art from the cover of New Teen Titans Baxter Edition #1.
Excellent.
Signed by both of them. Like I go, I've met Bob, but I haven't met Jim or Mob or George, but I have their signatures because customer at the shop. I was covering the shop one day. Came in because him and his friends were running up to Wizard World Philly.
Oh, nice.
I go, oh, who's there? So I bought like a couple of old like Teen Titan issues. I think Tales of the Teen Titan #3.
Okay.
It's got like the white cover and the circle in the middle.
Yep.
Where it's got the Titans Tower in the back, and the kids are all coming forward.
Yeah.
So I've got that signed by Marv in my collection, and now I've got this that I can frame and put on the wall. And I was supposed to meet George at Boston Comic-Con.
Okay.
But it was the year of those two scumbags in the Boston Marathon bombing.
Yeah.
And it got canceled.
Yep.
And George's wife made him turn around and get on the plane and get the hell out of there. Like a lot of people did. But there were a handful of artists that hung around and celebrated the Boston Strong thing and stayed the weekend and volunteered and went to stores from New Hampshire down to Providence.
Yep. No, that was the year we started Beverly Comic Con. I got Boston was canceled on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I got a phone call from a buddy of mine and said, hey, can you be in Beverly tomorrow to do a convention at 2:00? I said, yes. And so 23 hours later, I was set up in Beverly for Beverly Comic Con that ran for 5 years.
Nice.
That weekend, it was awesome. It was amazing how easy it was for all of us to come together and be together and to pull. I mean, I think we had 500 people show up that first year with, basically 24 hours notice. And then it only got bigger and bigger after that. So that was a good little show.
I remember I got a message on Facebook from David Mack, and so I got talking to him, and I just started doing big write-ups and who was going to be where and what. And the following day, I jumped in my Camaro at the time, flew down to my buddy Chris's house in Warwick.
Yeah.
I grabbed books off of my shelf. He grabbed books off of his shelf, and we flew to Somerville to Kamikaze.
Nice. They had a good little group going.
And there was a line out the front door for like 5 hours. And it was Tim Seeley.
Nice.
David Mack, who I hung out with for like an hour.
Nice.
Until the line started getting heavy. It was somebody next to Dave on the other side of Dave, but I can't remember who. And then Tim Sale.
So cool. I love Tim Sale.
And he was doing remarks.
Nice.
One per customer. But he would sign, whatever you brought of his.
Yeah.
Or you bought in store, whatever, he would just sign it. And so my buddy brought his DC Tim Sale hardcover collections.
Nice.
The Superman, was it Superman All Seasons?
No, it wasn't All Seasons. That was Frank Quietly.
Oh yeah. All Star. Was All Star?
Maybe. Might have been. I don't remember.
Yeah. And he brought I think he brought his hardcover of Long Halloween.
There you go.
And so he had him do a sketch on it for his Superman book. And then I went up and I couldn't find the books I wanted to bring, but miraculously on one of my 8 bookshelves that are now all on display at Wild Time Comics. There was no place for him to go, so I'm like, I can use these in the store. I go, yeah, go ahead. I can't get them back now, though.
Too late.
He confiscated all my folding tables, too. Those are the ones you set up. Those are the ones they set up for everybody whenever they have an event. So,
nice.
But I had my Spider-Man blue hardcover,
Nice.
Daredevil yellow, and my Hulk gray. So he did a remark on my inside my Hulk gray, like on the inside.
Yeah.
Front flat page, and and signed the other 2 books.
Nice.
And I go, what do I owe you? It's like, nothing. It's free. Boston Strong. I'm like, can we tip you? He goes, nope, don't want anything. Can I run across the street and buy you a coffee? He goes, nope, got one right here. Okay, well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Huge fan. Love your work.
Yeah. That was a pretty magical time. It really was. That was the weekend too that I was in that that book Chroma, that New England art book.
Oh yeah.
That weekend, that was the weekend that book was supposed to come out, and it got pushed off till August. But most of the guys that were in the book exhibited at Beverly Comic Con. So it was the first time I got to meet Bob Gill, who worked for Valiant and worked on Batgirl, worked on Batgirl. Andrew McLean, who did Headlopper and did some Rick and Morty stuff. And these are guys I still talk with today, which is cool, you know. So.
Oh yeah, you just make friends at all these shows, and
you know, sometimes they last forever, and sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they turn into acquaintances, and other times they're like, "Hey, what are you doing? I'm in town. Want to grab a coffee?"
You know, and especially too, where I get to go out to San Diego, and I get to, because that's a good time, you know, because once you're set up at that, then you have time to go and hang out with people, and it's, you know, it's California, so California's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I get to reconnect to a lot of people that I don't always get to see at that show. So it's pretty great.
And how many years did you do San Diego for?
I've been 5 times, I think now.
Wow.
This would have been my 6th one this year. So.
Were you like completely taken back and overwhelmed your first year?
Oh God, yeah. I didn't leave the table until Friday afternoon the first time, and it starts Wednesday night. So it was Wednesday night, Thursday, and then I didn't leave the table except to go to the bathroom. That was the only time I left the table because it's so overwhelming. It's like Boston Comic Con times 20. It's huge. It's just huge. It's the entire San Diego Convention Center, plus the lobbies of most of the hotels. You know, and it's just like Naomi Grossman walked by my table one time. Bill Stankovich came by to buy pens off of, you know, out of our booth. I met Kevin Grievous was just hanging out with his daughter. You know, it's just, that's actually my favorite San Diego story. So I'm at my table, and what I had is I have a table set up where I demo art supplies. So I work for Touch Markers and for Federation Comics, selling their art supplies. And so this guy turned me walking away. He's wearing a blue bucket hat and a blue T-shirt and some sweatpants. And I hear, "Hey, Dad, I'm just going to go look at some art supplies over here." And I hear this guy's voice say, "All right, I'm going to be next aisle over." And I said, just off the cuff, because I'm a friendly person, I turned and I said, "Wow, sir, you know, here in Hollywood, you could probably make money with that voice." And he turns around and it's Kevin Grievous. I'm like, and I turned and I said, "And you're Kevin Grievous, and you do make money with that voice." He laughed, and we got to chit-chat because it was Wednesday night. It was the preview night. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't so super crowded. I got to show his daughter some art supplies, and we talked about my work. And I took a selfie, which is something I never, ever do. But I'm like, "Can I get a selfie with you?" And he was super cool about it. So, you know, it was pretty cool. But yeah, that show is crazy because, you know, William Shatner can walk down your aisle. Mm-hmm. And you know, and it's like nobody, like, oh, he's just another person at that point. A couple of years ago, we were across the way from where we set up our booth, Profiles in History, which is an auction house. Mm-hmm. And they set up their preview for their September auction, usually at San Diego. So one year they had Frank Frazetta paintings hanging on the wall. Oh, God. Which are deceptively small, by the way. They're all like, you know, like 11 by 14, tiny. But then that one year they had all of the effects from Carrie Fisher's house and from her mom's house. But a lot of it had been signed stuff and stuff from fans and outfits she had worn on Oprah. It was really interesting to kind of see the things that she kept, you know. So it was kind of neat. It was kind of neat to kind of see all that kind of stuff. I mean, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is one of my favorite movies. They had helmets from the original Disney movie. The underwater diving helmets, so cool.
The bell helmets.
Yeah, the bronze bell helmets. Yeah, they were there, unrestored, so they had like patina and wear on them and stuff. It was amazing. It was amazing. So
Yeah, I remember the first time I saw that movie, I was just in complete awe.
so good. It's still one of my favorite movies.
Because my mother would force me to read books.
Damn her.
Yeah. But she would buy, like, if it was like a classic book, and she saw it in on a shelf in like the grocery store or something, she'd buy me like the Big Little books.
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was the first Big Little book that I ever had too. Remember, they were like super fat and like really square, and they had the illustrations in them. I had that, and I had the not Classics Illustrated, but it was like a Classics Illustrated kind of version of it that was fully painted. I had the two of them. It was one of my favorite books ever, actually.
There you go.
There you go. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which was my favorite ride at Walt Disney World.
I have never been because I just don't want to give them that kind of money just to walk around. And well, now I wouldn't walk around. Now I would just wheel around. But still,
as much as I don't love that the fact that Mouse has bought most of my childhood and put it together into their own big corporate package, there is something about Walt Disney World that is amazing. It's like dreams comes to life. And that, my aunt and uncle took my brother and I when we were like 7. I was 7. He was 4 or 5, maybe. He might have been 5. To Walt Disney World for a weekend. They were, newlywed couple. They wanted to go and they didn't have any kids, so they rented some from my parents for the weekend. And going on that ride was the most amazing thing because you were really underwater, not very deep underwater, but you were underwater in a submarine. How cool is that? I never been in a submarine until that, and it was and again, one of my favorite books. So
I remember my mother bought me, because I loved the Big Little books. I thought they were great. She bought me the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and I thought it was cool. But then she discovered I actually wasn't reading the book. I was just looking at the pictures and making up the story myself. So she would make me sit down with her like an hour, like a half hour after dinner every night after my homework was done, and I'd have to read.
Yeah.
And she got me that one, and there was another classic one she got me, and then my adopted grandparents from next door had a really, really old Big Little book, and it was starting to part of the seam was starting to come out a little bit.
Yeah,
it is separated from the binding, but it was like a 1937 or 38 Big Little book of Mandrake the Magician.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
I had that. I had like 3 other ones that, and of course these were the ones that I picked out. Instead of getting a comic book, because the Big Little books were a little more expensive. They're a couple of $1.95 or something. So if I got a Big Little book, I couldn't get a comic book for like 2 weeks. but I bought Batman and Robin one,
Nice.
Spider-Man one,
There you go.
and I got the one that I loved the most and actually read over and over and over again was a Fantastic Four
Oh, okay.
versus Doctor Doom,
Cool.
which I thought was the greatest thing because prior to that, bringing it right back to Joe Sonata again, I fell in love with Doctor Doom and the Amazing Spider-Man newspaper strip.
Oh, right on.
You know, my mother would get the paper every day, and
Yep.
I would flip out if, a couple weeks the paper actually dropped Spider-Man and put, some like Doonesbury or something in there.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, I want Doonesbury. I want this. I remember last year I scored the complete collection, like the big slipcase of the Batman dailies
Oh, wow.
that I never knew existed. And then I, through doing all this with Outright Geekery,
Mm-hmm.
I found out and never knew that there used to be a Star Trek TOS comic strip that lasted about a year.
That I didn't know. I had some of the ones that had the 45 album. So it was like a comic book, and then you got a 45 to listen to while you were reading the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of Star Trek ones of those. But and a couple of Spider-Man ones, and I think a Planet of the Apes.
Ooh, love me some POA.
Can't get enough. Can't get enough.
I had the full size 33 records. I had one of the Batman ones. I had a Wonder Woman one. I had a Star Trek one. And then I had like a couple of the smaller, like the 45 ones.
Yeah.
And they were either in the back room at Wild Time, or he bought like a collection. Somebody brought in a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Cleaning out the house, and they had like stacks of the book, the 45 book and record.
Oh, cool.
So I bought the Space 1999 one.
There you go.
I'd never seen that one, so I bought that one of them. And then later on, I found out someplace on the interwebs there's a file that actually contains every single one of those Power record albums.
Wow. Oh, that's neat.
So you can just put it on while you're drawing and just like listen to all these records. It's cool.
Well, I know they had a Tomb or a Dracula one. Marvel did a Dracula one.
There was a monster one, and it was you mean the 33 size?
No, I think it was a small one. I think it was a smaller one.
There's a 33 size where it has it's full size, so there's like 4 stories on it. So there's like a Dracula one,
Yeah.
Wolfman, Mummy, and Frankenstein, I think.
Huh.
And a friend of mine, when I was about 2.5 years ago, when I got readmitted to ICU at Rhode Island Hospital, which I hate that hospital. I will never go back there again.
Hopefully.
But they're the reason I'm crippled now. But anyhow, a friend of mine who, as a kid, used to come into Wild Time when the store was on the one-way downtown Pawtucket, because his mother would go into the beauty salon across the street, because it was the Newport beauty school training academy.
Right.
So they could go in for $5 and get whatever they wanted done on their hair, but they're letting somebody that probably hasn't done anything. Experiment on them for $5.
Practice.
Yeah, practice. But it's cheap, so they went.
Right.
So Peter would come in, she'd be like, just go hang out at the comic book store. Because comic book shops love babysitting kids. But he was a good kid. He'd come in, he'd have like some pocket change. He'd go through like the quarter boxes and pick out, and he'd have like, a million questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we reconnected with him because he was in a comic book group that we were in a couple of years ago. And he knew Regan.
Okay.
I go, oh, you go to Regan's shop? You know Regan? He's like, yeah. He goes, well, I don't go to that shop. I stop in once in a while and say hi. I'll buy some stuff while I'm there, but that's not my LCS.
Uh-huh.
I go, well, it's not mine either. I just, I got invited to an event there. I went there. Great guy, like him going, my LCS is Wild Time Comics. He was, that used to be, and he gave the original name of the store. And I'm like, yeah. You used to work there. I go, yeah. And he's like, I was a little kid that used to come in like every Saturday and go through the quarter boxes and ask a million questions. And then like after an hour, my mother would come in. Come on, time to go. Let's go. Come on, time to go. But he worked security at Rhode Island Hospital.
Oh, okay.
He found out, he works like third shift. He found out I was in the hospital. He came up with a get well bag, which included the 33 1/3 full album from Marvel with the 4 Monster Tales in it.
Oh, nice.
And it's here somewhere, where I don't know, but it's here somewhere. And the whole comic and the artwork on the album cover is all Neil Adams.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I've been collecting the 70s Marvel horror stuff over the last, I don't know, I'd say about a year. All spurred on by this. Remember that story? My grandmother got that Creature comic book. So a friend of mine had gotten a bunch of his grandfather's comics. And he's like, well, here's a bunch of stuff, guys, if you want to go through it before I put it on eBay to sell it. And that book was in there, Monster Outside My Window. I'm like, I have to have this one. And then I started looking through the rest of the monster stuff, and I was like, this is just super cool. So I've been going through and collecting Werewolf by Night, Tomb of Dracula, Where Creatures Dwell, Where Monsters Roam, all those 70s Marvel horror stuff, Ghost Rider, and Moon Knight. So,
well, let me see. I got some goodies over here. Oh, this is a DC one, but this is an older from our childhood 20 center.
oh, nice. That is excellent. That is cool.
I read it. There was a Marvel one, and I won them during an auction, not buying them, but they did like a free raffle.
Oh, cool.
And the raffle I won was this book and another one.
Nice.
He's like, they're just reader copies. I go, are they free? He's like, yeah. I go, I'll take them.
Yeah. Well, that's really what I'm collecting. I'm not collecting the high grade. I don't want the high grade stuff. I want to be able to read it and enjoy it and not worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
But a couple of the books I've gotten are a little bit higher grade than some of the other ones. My Tomb of Dracula #1's pretty cool. Was pretty good.
Oh, sweet.
My Moon Knight #1's pretty good. And I've gotten a couple of. Oh, Man Thing is the other title. I collected volumes 1 and volume 2 on that. I'm down to, I think, one book out of those 2 runs. So hopefully there'll be conventions again soon, and I can start looking again.
Yeah, you get that special geeky feeling when you complete a run.
Oh, it's awesome. And I got a couple of friends who are equally into it. I have a friend who's doing an Amazing Spider-Man 1 to 200 run, and he's down to like 10 books maybe on that entire run. So we're always out looking for stuff for each other. And
Yeah, my friend John is doing that now. He sold a bunch of stuff, but all he's doing is, and he's scoring some like phenomenal books.
Yeah.
But he I think he said he is only 3 books away from a complete run of Daredevil Volume 1.
Nice.
So,
this is one I got the other day.
I've got that one here somewhere.
I got that the other day. I was like, oh, so good.
I got it for a buck. It was one of the ones like you like buy stuff off like an auction, Facebook Live auction guy, and sometimes they'll throw like an extra couple of books in there like as a thank you.
Yep.
And I got that one. The first thing I did was hop on one of my apps. I go, this can't be. I go, yeah, okay, I was right. It can't be. It wasn't the first appearance.
Not first appearance, but it's not far off either.
Oh, I think it's like the 3rd.
Something like that. Adventure into Fear 20 or 21, I think, might be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Oh, crap. It's in my brain somewhere. I just don't remember what it is. I think it's Amazing Spider-Man 101.
Yes.
I think that's it. It's Amazing 101. So, but it's right along there. It's right up there. So
it's just like so good.
So good. And hopefully, if Little Giant goes off, I think he's supposed to have Al Milgrom up there as a guest again. So
nice.
I'll have Al sign it if he's there. So
that's always fun to bring. Like I was going up to see prior to Tacoma me, I would go up like every couple of months, pop into the Chicken and hang out with Jay and see if there was anything cool because they're always buying collections,
right.
So their back wall's always changing, and I scored some great earlier like Uncanny X-Men, like the first one against the Hellfire Club. I got a couple of books out of that. I got like 1 or 2 issues of the Dark Phoenix saga.
Oh, nice.
Not the super expensive ones, but the in between issues. But I didn't have them, so I was like, he'd always take care of me because I'd always, when I went in to buy stuff.
Yeah.
I went in to buy stuff because back then I was making decent money, so.
Right.
And then I started noticing there were certain books that either I had as a child or I would see the ads in the books that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And they do like the in-house ads and you'd see it. You'd be like, the cover was so cool and the write-up on it was so great that you had to have that book.
Yep.
But as fate would have it, it never appeared at the spinner rack at the only place that you could go to get comic books.
Comic books, yeah.
But I found a few of them on his wall. The Amazing Spider-Man with the blue cyclone, the only appearance.
Yeah.
So I bought that one off him, and he had the very first issue of Detective Comics I ever bought. I think it was 421.
Nice.
And it was Batman fighting the Creeper on the cover,
Oh, there you go.
which led to Creeper being like one of my favorite characters that hardly ever appeared.
Yeah, I've always had kind of a weird fascination with the Creeper myself. He's just so bizarre. Like, who picked those colors out for his costume kind of thing? It's, he's just so strange. I've always been drawn to kind of those weirdo, kind of strange characters, anyways.
Well, if you go on the Outright Geekery YouTube page,
Yeah.
and you go to the playlist for OK Boomer,
Okay.
you can go down, and I actually have a couple of copies of the first appearance of Creeper from Showcase,
Nice.
and we reviewed that and went through the whole book. So you can watch that if you have like a spare minute in the next 2 weeks or something, and
I'll have to check it out.
and you can find out exactly the goofy reason that he gave him those colors.
Nice. Well, I will.
It's comical, but it was still a good book, and I'm happy to own a couple of mid-range copies of it. One I bought and the staples were detached.
Yeah.
But the book was whole.
Oh, nice.
And when I read it, that's the copy I bring out to read.
Mm-hmm.
Because if something happens, I'm not worried about it. It's,
Right.
low grade book. The other one is in much better shape. Probably like a 5.5 to 6.5 or something like that. But
I just picked up a Fantastic Four with Silver Surfer on the cover. That I think it's a 5, but it's been CGC'd, so it's just a piece of artwork anyways at this point. And the color's pretty good, and it displays pretty well. So
I sold the slab to a friend of mine. I liked the slab, but I wasn't attached to it or anything. It was kind of like an impulse buy.
Oh, I hear you.
And my buddy Derek bought it off me, and really, really, really cheaply, about 3 years ago, I got a slab, I think maybe like a 6.5, 6.8
Okay.
slab from the original 90s Valiant run. And it was the first appearance of Hardcore.
Oh, nice.
I got it off a guy for $20. I'm like, well, it'll cost me more than that to have it slabbed. So, I'll take it. And he threw in a handful of books on top of that.
Nice.
With it. So he gave me the slabs version of the first appearance of Hardcore. And then he gave me a raw copy of it, plus some extra books.
Nice.
And the raw copy is actually in better shape than slabbed.
There you go.
So when Derek bought a slab off me that he really, really wanted because he loved the artist.
Yeah.
I sold him the slab for $50, but I said, you know what? You came like 30 miles out of your way to come pick this up at the cripple guy's house. So here's that slab. And you used to read Valiant back in the day, right? He goes, yeah. I go, yeah, here's the first appearance of Hardcore.
Nice.
I go, take it. Because I got the All-Star Squadron that you saw over in the far corner. Because I've got a couple of these slab stands.
Okay.
From Nate. And I got a slab stand over in the corner because I've got like ledges in my house because it's like an old factory building.
Yep.
And I've got a 9.8 Vampirella versus Reanimator #1.
Nice.
Virgin variant signed by Perillo.
That's really cool.
And as an art guy, I'm sure you probably can appreciate this. I grabbed a cross-gen illustrated book, and it goes through all the artists from the old cross-gen stuff,
Oh, cool.
and it's got like various art pages, and it's got like all kinds of notes in it from the artists and the writers.
Oh, we love to see that.
So I'm like, I go, that's cool. I own the entire series. It's a $30 book, and somebody sold it to me for $5.
There you go. Plus, it's got a Linsner cover, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, can't go wrong with that. It was worth the $5 just for the cover.
Oh yeah. And
Oh, nice.
triple signed.
That's really cool. That's signed by Jock?
Jock, David Barron, and Scott Snyder.
You can't get any better than that.
It was only supposed to be a double signed, but he had an extra triple signed, and he sent it to me by accident. I go, do you need me to send it back in exchange? He goes, no, you can keep it. I'm like, okay.
That's pretty great.
And like many people, I'm a big fan of Art Germ.
He's pretty cool.
And this one is an exclusive from BuyMeToys.com collectibles,
Okay.
and it's one of the Action Comic 1000s.
Oh,
which is the only reason I got it.
Yeah.
And it was from Clay Mann's personal collection.
Oh, neat.
So it's signed by Clay Mann and Tom King, and it was the cover that I wanted, but not the version of the cover I wanted. But it's like the gray tone sketch variant.
Oh, that's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, because I like it because it's different.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're probably less of those than they are the full color versions.
Yeah, and I got a good tip from the guys that are doing Comic-Con line this weekend.
Okay.
They started because he said the bags that the slabs come in are crappy. They dull it down. You get like a lot of glare. You can't like see it good when you have them displayed a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so they're getting like he doesn't buy them by the bags. He buys them, individually.
Okay.
When he gets new slabs, but he gets like oversized Mylars.
Okay.
They're like they're a few bucks a piece, but he goes, you can't beat them. You put them in there, you slap a piece of tape on the back, and they display beautiful, and you won't have any of the breakdown of the cheap poly bags they put them in.
I don't know who he's getting them from, but there's a guy down the Cape, Federation Comics.
Mm-hmm.
He also does comic artist supplies and BCE Mylar. He's a buddy of mine, so check him out. He's got. I think his website's up and running, but he manufactures Mylar.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So.
Shoot me. Find his info and shoot me a message.
Yeah.
And as you know, I'm a big Vampirella fan.
Mm-hmm.
I got the other one over there, but I got a Mike Mayhew exclusive. That's
really cool. I just saw that the other day on Comics Elite. Are they the ones who were doing that one?
This is a KRS.
Okay. All right. There's a couple of companies that do exclusives, and I get a lot of email about exclusives because a lot of them are doing exclusive blanks.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to grab those.
Yeah, you grab all the blanks to do all the covers.
I do. I'm a junkie.
So I want to. We're going to hijack your Facebook page a little bit, and we're going to check out some of your art.
Right on.
I've got commissioned comic book covers from you. I bought the painting of Hellboy you did as a Christmas gift last year.
Yes, you did.
And the acrylic card for my daughter, which she loves to death.
Thank you. That's awesome. I always trying to do different stuff.
So this is an example of some of Mike's Star Wars paintings, and I love the second Luke. That's just
Those are actually sketch cards.
those are sketch cards.
Those are 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches.
Wow, they look huge.
That's what I've been doing a lot of lately. Just with warm-ups is fun things and kind of bringing me back to where I started with the artwork. So
I don't have everything lined up, so I'm just bouncing back and forth.
take your time.
And I keep getting messages, so. We'll just go through I got a couple of con pictures.
Cool. That's me and Corey. I think that was down in Attleboro at Harry Martin's Toy and Collectible show, the My Mummy Productions show. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, at the Elks Lodge. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's where that one was. Hanging out with Spider-Man. It's my boy David, my biggest collector. He has been a godsend at more than one convention. He's probably the biggest art collector I know, and I know quite a few. David is quite a patron of the arts. He buys stuff from Ben Bishop a lot. He buys stuff from Joe Schmalk a lot. Rich Woodall. He's a big supporter of all of us local guys, even though he's a New York guy. He'll come up. I saw him last year at Terrificon.
Oh, cool.
I had a 4 sketch cover set of the Defenders. So it was, Iron Fist, Power Man, Daredevil, and Jessica Jones. And I had it signed by all the actors.
Oh, yeah, I remember you doing that, yeah.
And I finally got the piece put together. I got all 4 of them. They were all signed, all displayed, and David was the one who bought it. So
he came in and scooped them all up.
Yes. Yep, he got that at Rhode Island Comic Con a couple of years ago. He's a great guy. I love him. He's one of my favorites. I think that's a Dr. Doom piece that I did with him.
Yeah.
2 years ago at Boston Comic Con. So.
I know that guy.
Joe
St. Pierre.
Yeah. He's pretty amazing, talented. Drawn more Spider-Man #1s than anybody else.
I got to talk to him for about 10-15 minutes, passing by his table at Rhode Island Comic Con last November.
Yeah, that was at the Northeast Toy and Collectible Show in Thanksgiving weekend, I think, last year. So Joe's a cool guy. He really is.
I totally geek out whenever I meet like a big name, especially somebody that's done like so much work like Joe. And I'm slowly reeling by his table, and he's working on stuff, and I'm just looking in awe and amazement. And he looks up and goes, "Hey, how you doing?" Reaches out, shakes my hand.
He's just a super personable guy. You always get to say, he's always there to say hey, and he'll talk to you as long as you need to,
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, "You're Joe St. Pierre." He goes, "That's what they tell me."
Actually, I think that T-shirt, that's one of his T-shirts I'm wearing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I started talking to him because prior I spent like a good hour downstairs in the circle with our friends from the Token Dead.
Oh.
Ben and Jeff, and he did a variant cover for I think their second issue.
I'm sure he did. Joe's always hustling.
Oh yeah. Well, you can't stop. You can't stop in that business, though. You know.
You can't, It's like being a shark. You got to keep moving or you die.
Oh yeah.
Oh, me and Billy and Derek at Rock and Shock. Derek Rook is the publisher of he's Rough House Publishing. That's Derek's company. He does
Cool.
he republished Dead World, brought that back, and now he's doing Gore Shriek. So Derek's pretty cool. And I've known Derek for years.
I was disappointed when they said that they weren't going to be doing this show anymore.
But they will have another show in place of it, the same weekend in the same place, and it will still be a horror convention.
Oh, but they're just changing over stuff.
The staff swapped out.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Well, no, it's good because it's still going to be Kevin's show. But he's bringing in one of his older partners, somebody that worked on it with him before. So, at least that's the rumor. I don't think there'll be one this year, even though there was one planned.
Yeah,
I think it won't be back till next year because of,
Yeah.
Yep. That was that was also a Gary show. That is the girl from Ash versus Evil Dead.
Oh, cool.
We were looking at Joe Souza's work. I created a monster.
Oh yeah.
Local sculptor. His stuff is amazing. And we were looking at his stuff at his table.
Yeah, he was set up at. I keep going back to Rhode Island Comic Con because it's the last con I went to.
Yeah.
You know.
He was there for that.
I don't travel all over the world like you.
I don't travel as much as I used to either. So
Yeah, nobody does right now. But
no, but
hey, you working?
me working, big surprise. I think that was a Gary. That's a Chris took that photo. And I'm totally blanking on his name. CW Photography.
Oh, okay, yeah. Christopher Robin.
Yes, he is an amazing photographer. So I've been very lucky to be friends with some exceptionally creative people. So
It's kind of funny because you have the backdrop and it's pictures of your art, but then it's pictures of you with people.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking at a picture of you drawing someone.
Yeah. That's I'm working on it was a gem commission for somebody's birthday.
Oh, cool.
And then in fact, that picture behind me, that's me and Kristen Serratos from The Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw her at Walker Stalker Boston last year, they did that when she came by my booth looking for pictures of herself to go in her kids' room. So I gave her one of my sketch covers that I had done of her.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what she's holding in the picture. It's hard to tell there, but that's also my Facebook profile picture right now. So
I just have to see how many we have before it goes to something completely different.
yeah, right on.
Oh no, we got a while to go here.
Cool.
We get you posing behind the booth.
There you go. Yeah.
Just so you can see how much stuff he lugs to like every show.
I can fill 3 feet or I can fill 30 feet depending on what's necessary for me to be there. So that's Rhode Island.
Yeah, that's last year.
Yep, that was last year. That was taken by the very talented Liz Ellis Photography. Liz is a great friend. Her and her husband Eli. She cosplays. He cosplays. They're friends with Jamie Dolan, who was the first cosplayer that I ever worked with. So, but yeah, that's me in all my glory.
And his tag, if you haven't read it the 35 million times it's been on the ticker tape underneath our pictures, Sherpa12345
on Instagram.
on Instagram. So you can contact him for commissions or to ask him if he's got anything particular that you might be interested in.
And
Always has lots of Walking Dead and Star Wars stuff.
Star Wars stuff, Walking Dead, lots of horror stuff.
Mm-hmm. And these are the candles you were talking about in the pre-show.
Those are the candles. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, Joker candle.
Joker candles. Yep.
When you light it, does it smell like Robin dying though?
Absolutely. It smells like whatever you want it to smell like. That was a bunch of friends after Rock and Shock. Nope, that was the horror convention, the film festival.
Oh, cool.
I think. I do so many. Oh no, that was at Hooters after Rock and Shock. Yeah, that was.
I was gonna say, I go, yeah, and one of the people there cosplayed as a Hooters waitress.
Yeah, that's my friend Bob and his kids and his wife, or I think, Lauren in there. Yeah, Bob is the lead singer of On Your Deathbed. Great local metal band. They're pretty outstanding.
And everywhere you go, you either got a shirt full of enamel pins or a vest full of enamel pins.
Yeah, that's my battle vest. It's my uniform. I have San Diego Comic-Con, hanging out with my best friend from when I first moved to Braintree. I met him. I was in kindergarten.
Wow.
So he hadn't even started school yet. So that's Mark. He lives out in San Diego now. So that's where we get together and hang out when he's not home. That was me. Where was I? Hanging out with a couple of fans. Oh, that's my friend. Nope. I don't remember.
But they were very happy with their sketch cover purchases, though.
They were. That might be my friend Scott Carolla's kids when they were really little. But I don't remember. No, it can't be that little because that Deceased book didn't come out then.
I just finished reading Deceased, and one of the one-shots in that line, A Good Day to Die.
Oh, how were they? Because I actually haven't read it yet.
Oh, Deceased is phenomenal.
That's cool.
But A Good Day to Die was as good as the entire series was, like, a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
The one shot for me was like a 10.5.
Really? Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check it out.
Probably. A lot of it could have been just because there's a reuniting of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. So
okay, right on.
And you hugging a bag. There must be some great stuff in that bag.
That's fried chicken. That's a bag of fried chicken.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's at a fried chicken restaurant. It's a bag of comics.
Oh, okay.
It's a bunch of that 70s. It's a bunch of that 70s horror stuff. That's what it was.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. There's a sketch cover I did. Oh, Wilson.
Great cover. Now we're going to be into some of Mike's work, so you can see some samples of books that he's done.
Spidey 2099, still one of my favorites. Iron Spider. Mandalorian. Before we actually really knew what he was going to look like. That was like the only shot that was out. Did that book prior to Terrificon last year. So that was done June and July last year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Stan the Man.
Yep. Pretty amazing guy.
Planet Hulk.
Still my favorite Hulk storyline ever.
Oh, yeah. It's I have all the originals. I have extras of the originals because, yet again, Frank Cho and a couple of the other great cover artists for that run was supposed to be at Boston, and I went in and I must have bought like 30 or 40 books to take with me to Boston, and then the show got canceled because of what was going on.
Yeah.
But I've got like all the big hardcovers, the lead-in stories, everything.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim.
That's me and my buddy Jim at the Iron Maiden concert. A year ago, I think. Just over a year ago. We were up in the irons. What a great show that was. That was a good time.
Jim cracks me up.
He's so funny. He's cool. That's my buddy Bob. Bacon Fest. Oh, I donated much stuff. Me and my kids and my mom. Me and Todd. Hipster Thor. Who runs the leukemia fundraiser. Yep. He's a big fundraiser for the Leukemia Society.
That's the only version of Thor I could even attempt.
Well, me too.
I've got the guts, so I'm like, yeah.
Right. Me and Todd. Me and Jamie. Which is funny because every picture I have of her, she's not in cosplay. It's just the two of us hanging out. And I still yet to capture her, as Wonder Woman or as Catwoman. I joke that she's dressed like Jessica Jones, but those are just her clothes.
I know.
That was when I was a cosplay judge at a cosplay contest at a bar down in Providence. So.
Oh, like one of the after parties?
Yeah, no, it was just a cosplay contest at this. It was just an event.
Okay.
And I donated some stuff, and it was a fundraiser for something. Me and Todd. I think that might be Harry Martin's show.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Harry's playing comic show.
Yep. Ty and Jay always come out and see me if they can. So they're pretty awesome. Trip to New York City with the Drama Kids. Me and Bob at Rhode Island Comic Con one year. Family stuff.
Well, we'll do this. And let me see if I can find some more artwork over here. There's somebody we might know.
God, me and Jay, Free Comic Book Day. Tim Wright.
Yeah, I met Jack Purcell and Craig Russo for the first time at one of his Free Comic Book Day events.
Yeah, that's been my home for Free Comic Book Day for the last 7 or 8 years, I think. People keep trying to hire me away, but Jay gave me a home when nobody knew who I was, so I keep going there because it's a great shop. So me and some friends
And a beer. Pabst Blue Ribbon. We didn't get paid to say that.
Yeah, that's me and Jerome Blake, who played the Mondo Shawan from Fifth Element.
Oh, cool.
But he also played a couple of like 7 or 8 Star Wars characters too. He played Rune Hako from the Trade Federation in Episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of members on the Jedi Council. Jerome's a pretty interesting guy. He's one of those behind the mask actors like Doug Jones.
Oh yeah.
But he's also done some face stuff too. He was in that movie First Night. Here we are. And my friend Brian, the amazing writer, artist, martial artist, jack of all trades, individual. Brian's pretty great and enthusiastic.
You caught off guard.
Yeah. Super caught off guard.
Huh?
What? What did it do? What? Oh, some work. That's me with one of my Sid Haig prints. Sid was a client of mine. I was lucky to get to know him pretty well. And we did that print together prior to his passing, which was a sad, sad day. But again, Devil's Reject's probably one of my favorite movies. So I was lucky to get to know him. Work I donated for the Leukemia Society. That's one of Todd's banners. I did the Punisher piece that's up in the top middle, second row of the smaller pieces. That was one of mine. One of my appearances at Friendly Neighborhood Comics, which is another great shop in Bellingham.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Slade today.
Actually, I have to go see him. I haven't seen him in forever. So
yeah, they're switching to summer hours next week. So
I will hit him up and see how he's doing. Because again, I haven't been anywhere or talked to too many people. So that was an old thing I used to do. That's an ad for the Little Giant show, which is coming up in August, supposedly.
We will see.
Beverly Comic Con, the last one they did.
One of your Rick and Morty pieces right up front.
Right up front. Yeah.
Oh, got a shot of your Punisher there.
Yeah, and actually, I gave Todd the original on that one.
Oh, cool.
So that's actually the original painting. Another picture of me and Bob. Bob likes to take pictures. Rock and Shock.
Cool.
Rock and Shock with my buddy Dan Kern, who was my studio mate and, chum.
Nice.
Pretty great. He's a great artist too. So
you can see in the middle row.
Oh, there it is.
Is that no? That's 3 of the 4.
That's 3 of the 4, but they were stacked together. I think the other one might have been behind the Daredevil one.
Oh, okay.
Just because I think I was trying to maximize space at that point.
In the back, is that a Jamie Dolan?
Go
Go ahead, say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It actually is.
It is.
I couldn't see what you were talking about. I'm like, which one is he talking about? Yeah, it's Jamie Dolan right there. That Wonder Woman. She's great.
Yeah, she's in between all the crazy hours she's had to work in nursing. She's making masks for people, and
she is.
Yep.
Actually, I have a couple of her masks myself.
And we can't see it too good, but in the gray crate, I can definitely see Pennywise.
Oh, he's definitely there. One of my best sellers, that piece. Really is.
Everybody loves it.
Yeah. I do. I think it was great.
Got a Negan cover down the end, Gene Simmons.
Yeah.
And in the back, I love that Robin Lord Taylor you did, Penguin from Gotham.
Thank you. And he is the nicest guy. He is so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
He's so humble and super enthusiastic about who he's gotten to hang with and be with, and he's super appreciative of his fans. Most of the cast of Gotham that I met were pretty awesome that way. Um, especially David Manzu. Wait a minute. I don't know. I didn't pronounce that right, but the kid who played Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I was going to say, young Batman? Yes.
And his mother actually was a super sweetheart, too. I met her at a convention, and I was it was in New Jersey. It was crazy busy. So busy that I was standing on a chair behind my booth because it was just too many people to be. And
You had to be up above because it was just...
You couldn't see, and it was just me and a buddy of mine, just the two of us, and we had 3 booths that we were working all together. And she came up and she said, "Oh, that's Liz signing some of those prints of Jamie." Liz was the photographer on the shoot, so.
Oh, cool.
When I do a print like that, I try to make sure I have everybody who was involved sign the print. So you get the reference photographer, me, and the cosplayer. You get all 3 signatures on the print before when you buy it.
That's a great idea, though.
Well, I think it's important that everybody's name is on there too.
Yeah.
That's the other part. Jamie's name's on it, my name's on it, and Liz's name is on it, so that people know where the work comes from. There's Pennywise.
There he is.
I did that painting, and I wouldn't bring it in my house. I left it in the car. It was too creepy.
I didn't want to put it down and fall asleep on the couch and wake up and scare myself.
Nope. I was so glad to sell that. It was one of my best original art sales, just to get it out of my life. You know.
I still haven't watched the new one because when I buy stuff, it's gonna I wait for the price to like drop down like under $10 at least.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's like multiple movies, I try to wait for Voodoo to have like a bundle sale on them.
Okay, right on. It's really good. The first one is excellent. The child actors are outrageously great. There's Liz and Eli and myself at Rhode Island. She was a photographer who took the Jamie Dolan shot.
Oh yeah.
So she also took the picture I used of Nightmare at Worcester also.
Oh cool.
Mm-hmm. She does a lot with cosplayers. Another show.
Yeah. Oh, there they are. We can see them all lined up now.
There we go. Oh, that was the show. That was Rhode Island a couple of years ago.
Just before Dave came and scooped him up, I'm sure, probably.
Yeah. He came in and he got those. He got he also got my Negan painted sketch card that I had done on a piece of wood.
Oh, cool.
I got a piece of wood cut down to sketch card size, painted Negan on it. I had Jeffrey sign it at one of my signings with him. And David also got that piece too. So he's a good customer. He's a good friend. You know, if nothing else, he's a good friend. You know.
I like the Negan cover. Yeah, you get down the end here with the pointing Lucille out at somebody.
Yeah. Actually, Jeffrey signed that one for me too.
Oh, cool.
So that was cool. Yeah.
I like it how you did it. So it's like a big, huge connecting cover.
Yep. I try, if I'm going to do a piece that is more than one cover, I try and make it something that flows across all of them, because I want them to be an artwork individually, but an artwork together also. Mm-hmm. Not that I would have ever broke that set up. That just wasn't happening.
Oh yeah.
That was a task I set out to myself. I was like, I have a chance to meet Charlie Cox. I'm going to see if I can get everybody from the Defenders to sign this piece. And it took me just under a year to get everybody's autographs. So I was very lucky. A friend of mine in Texas was going to a show where Kristen Ritter was going to be. That was the only one I couldn't work out on my own.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine got that done for me down in Texas. So I was very, very lucky.
Sweet Christmas.
Yep. Right on.
And this is a Daryl down here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was the year that he was supposed to be a guest and had to cancel at the last minute because they hadn't finished. They had to reshoot some stuff.
Oh yeah.
That was the year they pulled all of the Walking Dead guests. Norman's a sweetheart, though. He really is.
Oh yeah, he's great with like all the fans and everything.
Yep, he really is. He's pretty great. That's a panel from Rock and Shock. I'm there with Adam Miller, who was the editor for Zombie Bomb a couple of 10 years ago, maybe now at this point.
Cool.
Yep, panel Rock and Shock. Ben Goldsmith, Derek Rook, Billy Nichols, Adam Miller, and myself.
Cool. Oh yeah, I know Billy.
Yep. Back at the bar.
Back at the concert.
Bob, me and the kids. Lady Negan smashing my head in. That's actually my very good friend Jen. At Walker Stalker the last year that they did Walker Stalker.
Mm-hmm.
So
she was just trying to wake you up. You just look like you're sleepy.
A little bit. I actually might have been. It was a long weekend.
But she commented on it. Sherpa squish.
Yeah, that's Jen. See, we made up.
You woke up and we posed her picture.
Sure. Here we are at Walt Disney World, San Diego. Yep.
Can't be a summer of heroes without a comic book guy.
Yep. There we are at the San Diego Zoo, maybe. I don't know. That was after we had done the convention, so we were totally wiped out.
That was cool. I just wanted to be able to show a bunch of fun stuff.
Right on. Some of my adventures.
So, some of your many adventures and
yeah,
it's good times.
It's good times. People say, "Well, I'm a big fan of yours." I'm like, "No, you're not a fan of mine. You're a friend of mine." I've got so many people in my life that have come from this world, this crazy adventure world that I'm in now, where I get to go and travel and meet people and hang out with celebrities, and it's awesome. Without comic books, that wouldn't have ever have happened for me. So I don't know what I'd be doing.
There you go.
Michael Cudlitz.
I was mad when they got rid of him.
Yeah, but you know what, though? He went out just like Abraham would have wanted to go out.
Mm-hmm.
Kicking ass and taking names. He went out under his terms. So I was okay with that. And Michael is such a cool guy. I have a dream project someday that I'll do where I want to do portraits of soldiers that have been on television, but a portrait of the soldier with a portrait of the actor who played that soldier together, and then try and get the artwork to the families.
Oh, cool.
Unfortunately, Michael, who played Bull Randleman in Band of Brothers, there is nobody left from Bull Randleman's family. His son was killed in a drunk driving accident. So a drunk driver hit his son. And then Bull's wife died before he did, and then Bull passed. So there is no family left in that family. So
it's a shame.
One of those days, that's a cool thing. See that piece?
Yep.
That's 27 by 41. So it's as big as a movie poster.
Yep.
It is it's 6 inches thick. It's printed on MDF.
Wow.
It is a piece of a mural that was in the Marvel warehouse where they stored all their stat film from the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
When they were owned by Dimension Films.
Wow.
And that piece actually I brought to Boston Comic Con the year that Stan Lee was there and had him sign it.
Wow.
So it is a one-of-a-kind. When Dimensions Films sold Marvel Comics, the warehouse, the mural got torn out and thrown away. But you can see on the edge of that, you can see where it attached to the next piece over because they didn't finish the edges except when it was exposed edges. So I ended up getting 2 pieces of that mural from a friend who owned a shop who knew a guy who had the pieces, who got them from the contractor. But I've yet to been able to find any kind of provenance on it, except that an article in the Comics Journal with one of the Marvel editors mentioned it. It was in Yuma, Arizona. And I had a letter that came with it that was, from Marvel Comics, from Dimension Films. But yeah, no, that's probably the coolest collectible thing that I have. And I had actually gotten 2 pieces of it. The other piece was a Silver Surfer portrait by Jack Kirby.
Oh, God.
And actually, I think it went to a very good friend of both of ours, David Dunbar.
Oh, yeah.
David actually has that piece.
Wow.
So, but his is not signed by Stan Lee like mine is. I think his was like 26 inches square, I think. Had a little water. His had a little damage on it, but, it gives that a little bit more credibility too, I think. Gives you this was never meant to last. It was never meant to be a thing. It was a decoration from a warehouse. And they did it because they printed the films that made the reprints.
Mm-hmm. But that's just awesome.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool.
And it's even better because you get Stan to sign it.
I do, and I still have the electronic ticket to at least give some of the kind of provenance to the autograph. So, but yep, it was one of those things where I'd always said to myself, well, I don't have any key books. I've never been a key book collector. Mm-hmm. So I don't have anything that's good enough for Stan to sign. And then I got this, and I was like, there we go. There's my piece. So
that's just amazing. One of a kind Iron Man piece.
It doesn't get any better than that, too. First appearance. It's gigantic. It's like almost like it should be in a museum, kind of good. So we'll see someday. That'll be my legacy.
And it's big enough that we can look at it without our glasses.
Oh, hell yeah. It's giant. And the thing weighs probably 75 pounds.
Oof. There
I am with Jeremy Palko, who was in The Walking Dead.
One of the many zombies?
No, he wasn't a zombie. He was he played Andy, who was the guy that came back from the Saviors to get Gregory's head.
Oh, yeah.
The first time we meet Jesus, Jeremy was with him, and Andy gets killed in the big assault of the Savior's place. Jeremy's a super sweet guy, and that was from another vampire piece that he did. He was played a vampire, so we did that painting together. He's
very cool.
He's a very cool, and he's been painting lately too. During the pandemic, that's his thing. So I got to get me. He's got some of my artwork. It'll be my turn to get a piece of his artwork.
I don't want to be here.
No, that's my pensive. Oh, that's me and Ross Marquand from The Walking Dead and the Red Skull. He
played the Red Skull
in the two in Endgame and Infinity War. Mm-hmm. He did the voice because he's an amazing impressionist. Mm-hmm. So I guess they couldn't get Hugo Weaving, so they got a Hugo Weaving impersonator.
Good enough.
And Ross is a super sweet guy. That was at Kineticon at Foxwoods. And we kind of we talked about the Avengers for probably about an hour. Because he's a huge comic book fan. and keeps pushing to get wants the role of Mark Spector, Moon Knight.
Oh, cool.
Oh, he'd be awesome. He would be awesome because he can do all those different impressions. He can be different characters, and he's an amazing actor. He really is. So, I love him on The Walking Dead, and I would hate if he left that show. And at the same time, I totally want him to be Moon Knight. So,
yeah, it's kind of funny. There's a connection with the MCU with him, and a few episodes back, was interviewing Austin Janowski,
okay.
and he does some acting down in Florida, and he was actually in like the first two Avengers movies as like multiple characters and stuff. So yay!
This is what happens when you have friends who are graphic designers.
They just put you everywhere.
They just take any picture of you and they stick you into all kinds of stuff. Oh, that's me and Danny Trejo at Rock and Shock one year. He was super cool. Super cool. That was after the first Machete movie came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Danny's awesome. He stopped by the booth and we talked for like maybe a half hour or so. It was after one night after the show was over, and I had done a Machete piece and it was up on the wall. And so we see Danny Trejo come walking by, and he's wearing a leather jacket with a tank top underneath, and he's wearing denim shorts and the socks pulled up, and he's with a couple of guys, so he's all tough, and they're walking down the aisle. And he looks over and he sees the Machete piece, and he goes, he's got that super harsh, like mean guy look.
The glare, yeah.
And he looks and he points at it and he smiles. He gets a smile that goes from ear to ear. So we stopped and we talked, and it was awesome. It was great, you know.
Here's somebody I haven't seen in years.
Jason Casey. We love Jason. That was at Rhode Island 2 years ago, I think. It was right after he retired.
He retired?
From the show circuit. I think so, yeah. He's been doing fine art stuff, some fantasy artwork. He published a book via Kickstarter, which was great. He's been doing some set building stuff for Hasbro, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, some painting and, set building kind of stuff down there in Rhode Island for Hasbro. Jason.
I lost touch with him because he drops off of social media.
He does sometimes.
So he deleted his Facebook and I think his Twitter. I think he was just on Instagram. But I've got a whole bunch of art from him.
Yeah, Jay's a tremendous artist. He really is.
I met him at the first Rhode Island Comic Con.
I actually met him way before that. I met him up at the Double Midnight Show. I think that was the first time I met him. We actually shared a booth the second time I did Rhode Island. Oh, no, first year I did Rock and Shock, which was probably their fourth show. So I've known Jay for a really long time.
He's a great guy. He actually spotted me outside of the first Rhode Island Comic Con because he like snuck out to have a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
And he had seen pictures of me online, and I was always bragging about my Joker airbrushed leather jacket.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't recognize him. Walked by. He goes, "Will." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Jason. I'm like, "Oh, dude, what's up?" And we shot the bull outside for about 5 minutes or so, and then I headed in to stand in a 3-hour line to get in, and
yeah.
I met up with him, and I bought I think like 3 pieces off him that year.
Yeah, that first Rhode Island Comic Con was way more than I expected it to be. You know, it really was. I guess they expected about 5,000 people, and
Oh, yeah.
15,000 people showed up. So, Josh McDermott, Eugene from The Walking Dead. He was an amazingly cool guy. I had given him a sketch cover, very close to that one.
Mhm.
It was right at the end of the day. He was getting ready to leave. I'm like, "Hey, I just want to drop this off." He's like, "Can I sign something for you?" I'm like, "No, don't worry about it." You know. He goes, "No, really." I said, "Well, if you want, I have one on my table. Come by my table tomorrow. It's across from the Wild Bill's Old Fashioned Soda booth." And he came by in the morning, and we shot the shit and hung out a little bit, and um, he signed that for me, and we took pictures. He is just a super generous guy, and it's a shame that people basically bullied him off of social media. He had a very active social media presence,
Mhm.
and then when they wrote his character to go over to the Saviors and not come back, people were really like threatening his life and giving him a hard time because of what his character was doing on TV.
It's like, yeah, dude, it's a character, not, you know.
Most of the people in the little box are not real people.
Yeah,
You know, like,
they're just not.
no, they're just characters on a TV show. My kids understand that. I don't understand why some people can't. And as if he had any control of what Eugene does on the TV show. None at all.
There's something called a script. You want to be mad at somebody, be mad at the guy that created the show, canceled the comic, and keeps the show going.
Yeah. I still love the show. I mean, a lot of people don't. Oh, there's Jamie. That was the first time we did a signing together at Friendly Neighborhood with my buddy Slade, who I've known for a million years.
And she's still not in costume, but she's standing next to a print of her in costume. So,
yep. So
that's probably the closest you get.
Right. Well, she is wearing a Wonder Woman printed dress. The dress has the Wonder Woman logo all over it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, no. Every time we have a picture together, she is not in costume. So
that's all right. It's still fun.
Oh, it's great. She's awesome. I love seeing her every time I see her. I was bummed out. She didn't make it to the one and only convention that I've made it to so far this year. The one run by the guys from Rhode Island that they did in February.
Oh yeah, I didn't make it to that either. I ended up in the hospital.
Yeah, that was a good little show. And if that is the only show that I do this year, then I'm okay with that because I had a great time. So it was good.
I think we have more Walking Dead. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. That's me and Bob, Lawrence Gelada Jr. I'd done that cover for him. I had seen him at Boston, and I was in one of the two dealers' rooms. I was the downstairs one.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I hear somebody yelling, "Where's this Mike Doherty? Where's this Mike Doherty?" I'm like, "Oh crap, what did I do?" and it's Lawrence. He's like, "How come you didn't do a sketch cover of me?" I'm like, I'm sorry, Mr. Gillette, I just didn't have time, but next time I see you at a show, I promise I'll bring you one. He's like, "You better." He was great. He was awesome about it. So then I saw him. So Boston was in August.
Mm-hmm.
So then I saw him down at Walker Stalker Atlanta. I was down there with that is my best friend from high school. He lives in Minnesota now. And so every couple of years we try and do something together. So I convinced him to come down to Walker Stalker Atlanta because he had never been to a convention before. And so I came down. I said, "Come on, Dave. let's go meet Lawrence. So we got to get a picture taken, and that's one of my sketch covers I did of him, and Dave got to meet his first celebrity, so it was pretty cool.
A lot of fun.
I try, I love what I do when it comes to this kind of stuff, and it's not, because I'm not making millions of dollars, but I do get to meet an amazing amount of people, and if I can't have fun with people and meet new interesting individuals, what's the point of doing anything? So
yeah, right. Here's a sampling of a bunch of different covers Mike's done.
Black and white stuff and some
General Akbar, Judge Dredd,
Darth Maul.
Is that that's
Captain Jack, John Barrowman from Torchwood in Doctor Who. Carl Urban as Dr. McCoy. Michael Rooker, and that Michael Rooker one, that green square that's actually cut out. So it's a die cut cover I did, and I inserted a piece of green paper in behind it. I'm always pushing the borders.
That's cool.
So
you get the Batman and Robin 66. Robin's what, black and white, and Batman's color.
Yep. And that Batman 66, that Robin actually went to a friend of mine who passed just recently, actually in March, right at the beginning of the pandemic, I think. Because I saw him in February. My friend John, who was a big Batman collector, he bought.
John Turn,
Yeah, he that was part of a series I was doing for him of Batman 66 characters. So I had done Batman, Robin, Batgirl, and then we talked in February about what he wanted next, and I was going to do a Catwoman cover that had all three of the Catwoman actresses on the same cover. He wanted two Riddler covers. Oh, I did a Joker one for him too. Unfortunately, John passed, and
I was shocked when I heard that. I was like, I think I was one of the first people that found out, because a different Mike from the convention posted it.
Yeah.
And I knew Mike through John because like 3 years ago, the first time I got out to anything was Halloween Comic Fest at Wild Time, and I had gotten I had booked Frankie B and Jeff Haas, because they were doing the monster comic at the time, and I booked them down there, and that was my first outing since being released from the hospital for 2 years.
Yeah. So
a bunch of people, a bunch of my friends that also everybody that knows me knows Randy, so it's like it's gonna look out. He can stand.
Yay!
I can't walk, but I can stand.
Oh well. Take the little victories.
Oh,
there you go.
Just the repositioning on the chair.
There you go.
But so I mean, I had a wonderful time that year. There were a bunch of people down. I get to hang out and talk with Frankie and Jeff, and they had a fairly decent day. There was a girl there that was had an odd cookbook for sale. It's like all like medieval stuff.
Oh, I think I've met her. And one of my many adventures.
and she was making old fashioned ginger beer.
Oh, ooh,
So
interesting.
I finished I finished my large iced coffee, and then she just kept filling up my iced coffee cup with ginger beer. So I was like, yeah,
That's great.
oh, yeah, we had a great time that year, and I had a few friends stop by that cosplayed. I think that was the first year. That was the first year I met Corey.
Okay, right on.
Talked to him online. I got him to come down, and a couple girls from one of the Boston groups came down, and some of my friends, and that's the first year. Uh, John was out with Mike, and they took his '66 Batmobile
Batmobile, yeah.
uh, to a kid's birthday party for it was for a Make a Wish thing,
Oh, nice.
and it was in Attleboro. So when he was done, he brought it by.
Yeah.
So I got my picture in the wheelchair next to the
Batmobile.
Batmobile. And when I saw the picture, I go, "Oh my God, that's horrible!" I was weighing in at like over 600 pounds,
Whoa. One.
and now I am down to 398
Congratulations, man. That's amazing. Good job.
just from diet.
Well,
I'm not a fan of the diet. It's not like I hate the food on it, but I miss all those tubs of ice cream I was eating to get me up to that 600-pound mark.
yeah, I hear you. I actually ate healthier during the pandemic than I had prior to that. Because I was buying all that groceries myself. I'm like, I'm not going out to eat anymore, so you know.
It was funny too because I was on another I was guesting on another podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not too long after the whole mandatory lockdown of the whole country came down.
Yeah.
Like about a month, about 3 or 4 weeks into it, and they asked me, "Hey, what's your go-to pandemic snack?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm on a super strict diet, and I've lost a whole bunch of weight." He goes, "Yeah, congratulations, but come on, it's the pandemic. You got to have some kind of." I go, "Yeah, I have sugar-free popsicles. You happy?"
Yeah, I had never eaten so many avocados and eggs before in my entire life.
I don't hate avocados, but I can take like the avocado paste, like they put on the
Yeah.
on the sandwiches, but very little. Like
Yeah.
it's like a touch.
I didn't love them before the pandemic, but then they became such an easy way to add some color and flavor. And because it was just me in my apartment, my one-room palace, it was just easier to. I was doing like fried eggs with toast with half an avocado, like sliced or smashed up underneath it, and that was my go-to meal for the whole pandemic. I got some really kick-ass hot sauce that was kind of sweet and a little hot, and that was my go-to meals when I didn't feel like cooking because it didn't take very long to make, and it was actually way healthier than anything I had been eating prior to the pandemic because living by myself, it was easier to swing by and pick up a sandwich or pick up a burger or a couple of slices of pizza or something like that than it was to cook something. So
I remember those days.
yep.
Enjoying myself quite well, and heading up to Jay's Deli in Smithfield, get one of their phenomenal sandwiches.
Yeah. Or
All I can say about that is, damn.
Oh, he's so cool. He and I was not a wrestling fan at the time, so I although that is my other pandemic pleasure is that I've been watching wrestling again. I think it's my midlife crisis.
I'm watching wrestling with no crowd. It's great.
Well, I don't watch the WWE stuff. I was watching Ring of Honor because I met Vinny Marsiglia, who is Vincent in Ring of Honor, the Horror King, and we spent. I actually roomed with him for New York Comic Con, and we got to kind of talk about the mechanics of wrestling, the showmanship and the storylines, and which is something I haven't been into. I used to watch wrestling with my grandfather when I was like 11.
Oh yeah.
And then talking with Vinny and going back and watching some of the Ring of Honor stuff and seeing the storylines kind of play out. And then I started watching AEW because once we were locked down.
Oh, I love AEW, but I stopped watching it. Well, I won't pay for cable, so I watch everything like in the after shows on YouTube kind of thing. But I just can't watch it without a crowd. I go, this is ridiculous. I can't do this.
You got to remember, I started watching AEW after the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched everything from this year. So I think from episodes 3 up until currently. I watched everything, and most of it didn't have crowds. So for me, not having a crowd is kind of how it's been all along. So I'm okay with that. I like the shows. I like the storylines. Seeing these guys be the athletes that they are is amazing. Watching, Darby Allin. There we go. He's I love Darby Allin. I think he is the most interesting character in AEW right now because he's just doesn't feel like he's playing a character. And I have my buddy from John, who works down the Cape, owns the Mylar business. He's a wrestling fan. So we started going to live shows before the lockdown. So we saw a show down in Connecticut. We went overnight. So I got to see Darby Allin actually wrestle. So I got to see Darby Allin, Marty Scurll, Vincent, Dan Maff. It was a bunch of guys on the indie wrestling scene because I've never been to a big show, but I've been to like 4 or 5 now of these little shows, these little indie shows. And until the pandemic came and locked all that stuff down, I was like, I wanted to go every week. And there's a lot of indie wrestling shows around here now. I saw Davey Boy Smith wrestle down in Kingston.
Yeah. Down
at Pins before things went south. So I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to be there. It's fun to watch the showmanship and the energy of the crowds. And we're gonna see if I can bring some of that to my convention stuff when I get back to conventions. I was doing a lot of studying when I was down, watching the live shows and figuring out who my character is. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, maybe you and Lewis can have a match at one of the shows.
I have no interest in that at all, but I would love to be a manager or a color guy. Somebody comes in.
You can be the new good old JR.
There we go. I think I have the ability to be an excellent second for somebody in the ring. I don't know who that is yet, but that would be fun. That would be an awesome second career for me. So.
And here's another Walking Dead MCU crossover.
Oh, Yondu. That oh wow. That's an old picture. That was actually Rock and Shock, probably the year that Danny Trejo picture came from. And I gave Michael that cover. And it was right after it happened. And who else was there? Scott Wilson was there. Irone Singletary was there. It was still when the Walking Dead might have been third season, I think, maybe fourth season. And so I gave that cover to Rooker, and he's like, well, can I sign something for you? I'm like, no, I just came to appreciate your work, because I really do appreciate their artwork, you know? And Michael's like, well, do you have your phone with you? We'll take a picture. I'm like, no, I left it back at the table. So he had his assistant for the weekend take a picture of me on his phone and then send it to me to my phone. So that's where that picture came from, which was super cool. Michael Rooker is probably the coolest celebrity I think I've ever met. And he is fueled by what appears to be nicotine, whiskey, and awesome. He is Michael Rooker all the time. Like, he is Yondu. Like, that's who Michael Rooker is. He's just seems a little surly, but is super sweet. Seems a little edgy, but is totally soft. He's just amazing. And I think he's just an amazing person. I think, you know, he's just, you know, he was a pleasure to meet. He was one of just the absolute, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I've never had a bad celebrity interaction. Nope, we're not going to speak of anybody that way. There was just one person who was not awesome. But everybody else I've ever met, and I've literally at this point met hundreds of celebrities. But yeah, I would say that Michael Rooker, Danny Trejo, Scott Wilson, probably amazing. Some of the most amazing people I ever met. Lou Temple was so good. Sid Haig was amazing. And you know, they are people who appreciate their fans, and that's what more can you ask for? You know, you go ahead.
It's just a whole different world when you're able to have these interactions with people. And I won't lie, there's some of the celebrities that are, you know, a little uptight and they get some attitude, but there's so many more of them that are just like down to earth and thankful for the fans, because if it wasn't for the fans, they might have shot one season of a show and been done.
You know that, and that's the real trick, is that they're doing their job like everybody else. Mm-hmm. You know, my job is to make pictures, and their job is to make characters. You know, and most of the people that I've met have been so super humble that makes you think to yourself, well, that's pretty amazing. That I see this person on television, and they, and now they're standing out. Now we're sitting here talking. So, but I've been very lucky. I've gotten to meet amazing writers, amazing artists, amazing actors, amazing directors. And I'm just thankful every day that I get to do all that kind of stuff, and to, getting to talk to you and to put this on the internet for people is amazing. It's a gift. It's a gift every day. So, be happy, be glad for what you have and the life you get to lead. It's, it's not peaches and cream for everybody all the time, but just be glad to have what you have,
Thank you for what you got.
Yep.
I think I found your tag team partner.
Yeah. Oh, Mick. Oh, Mick. He was an interesting cat. I saw him down the Cape. He was doing a stand-up comedy thing. But it wasn't But it wasn't a stand-up comedy thing. It was like 2-hour wrestling stories, which was great. So you got to hear behind the scenes stuff, and it was just interesting to get to sit down. Like we sat down in his booth where he was having dinner. We got to hang out afterwards, so it was pretty amazing. But he was an interesting cat too. Mick Foley.
A lot of fun. Cactus Jack.
Cactus Jack, Mankind.
Dude Love.
Yeah. And still active. That's the part that stuns me. It's like he's still active after all these years.
Yeah, I've met a bunch of wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
There was one that was, Shane Douglas, all attitude. You go to the table to talk to him, and within 10 minutes, he's complaining about, the business, how this one does business and how that one does. It's like, just tell us some cool in-ring stories and sign something,
Yeah, we want to hear about the good stuff. We don't want to hear about the crap. I have no interest in the crap.
If we wanted to hear about the crap, we would have just stayed home.
Right. Or watch that Dark Side of the Ring.
Oh yeah.
Docudrama.
But I lucked out and I met Greg Valentine.
Oh, cool.
A couple of times. The first time I met him, he was with the cat that used to play Virgil. Delaman's guard there.
His valet.
Yeah, the valet.
His
Yeah,
valet.
a whole $1 million belt. But that time they didn't know where to go, so they just kind of like grabbed a bar stool and like sat in the middle of the aisle. Mostly because I think Greg was beyond hungover from the night before. I think he was like actually still drunk.
Yeah, I heard he used to be a prolific drinker.
Oh yeah. But then I met him at Framingham, and he was next to a few other guys, from the old WCCW days, and so there were like a few people. There was like one of the diva wrestlers from WCW that I had no idea who she was, but she was hot. But I tried not to look at her because she was married to this guy that was jacked and stacked. But I got to talk to Greg, and stories and everything, and I got his autograph on a double pick of him and Roddy Piper.
Oh, nice.
The dog collar chain match.
Okay.
And he, in gory detail, told me all the real life injuries they both suffered and just kept going on during that match.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually lucked out because Piper's my favorite guy.
Okay.
I actually got to meet him before the sad day of his passing, and I got him to sign the other half of that picture.
Oh, that's
I've got the dog collar chain match picture of Valentine and Piper, and they've each signed it for me, so that was cool.
That's pretty amazing. I was at a show with Roddy, and it was one of those things where I just didn't make it over to his table. Mm-hmm. And when I was watching wrestling with my grandfather when I was little, he was the bomb. It was Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Andre the Giant. It was during the the early '80s, and that they were the guys. And I didn't meet Roddy, and I had a chance. I was standing right next to him. At another guy's table, and didn't take a minute to just say hi. And I wish I had, because, you know, there was a connection to my childhood that I didn't take advantage of. Oh, no, don't worry. He'll be back. I'll see him again. It's no problem. He'll be somewhere.
And
then he wasn't.
sadly, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually had that. He was in the movie adaptation of Peter Simetti's first horror book he did, out of Alterna.
The Chair.
Yeah.
I have the DVD.
I get the. Did I get the Blu-ray? Yeah, I think I get the Blu-ray. Perella sold me the 4-issue set, all signed, and the DVD for $10. And I'm like, I go all day. I go, yep.
Yeah, Peter's a great guy. He and he's, the stuff he's doing is right where it needs to be. He's doing indie comics the right way, And
newspaper print, so they're like nice and cheap and affordable for everybody.
Yep. He is the, and he's printing them for other people too, which is amazing.
He just started doing that recently.
Yeah, about a year ago, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I said like within like the last year.
So,
and I know Frankie B's doing a lot of work over there on various books, and he's doing what he loves, all the kaiju and the big giant robots.
Yeah, Frankie's from my old school comic book days. Frankie and I started doing shows together back at before Boston Comic Con was an actual thing. It was when they were doing the one-day Sunday shows. It was a Fred Greenberg show at first, and then Dave Cummings took it over, and then Larry Harrison from Harrison's Comics bought it. Frankie and I go all the way back to, I think, those days. I think that's where I first met Frankie.
I met him at a couple of different shows years and years ago. And then I saw him at the last Framing Hand show I went to before everything went south. And I walked right by his table. I didn't recognize him.
No, he speaking of losing weight, Frankie is killing it.
Oh my God.
He has changed his entire life, and he's living healthier and happier than I've ever seen him. He's an inspiration, man. He really is.
Yeah, I talked to him because before all this stuff happened, I was seeing doctors considering doing, what he did.
Gastric bypass, I think.
Because of all my health issues, my surgeon was telling me, he's like, it's going to be the best way, because I keep having like outbreaks of this, that, or the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, a lot of this stuff will go away if you can get down to a good weight. He goes, you've lost a lot of weight, but he goes, you can stand to lose more. I go, yeah, I know. I go, I lost an entire person. I'm still a fat lump on the couch.
You're doing a great job.
I'm trying.
Well, think of this. You've lost a third of who you were. That's huge. That's amazing.
I lost a whole year of gallons of ice cream.
Totally worth it. Worth every one you didn't have. So, but yeah, Frankie and I go way, 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 way back. Frank, who else? Rich Woodall.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure Matt Talbot when they were doing Johnny Raygun. Who else is from the old days? Scott Wagner, who did Atomic Robo, was the artist on that and writer on that. Greg Mutafas. We're super old school buddies. You know,
Way back in the day,
way back.
the old Northeast Comic and Toy Show in where did it used to be? Before it, when that was when that and the Attleboro VFW were the only two like comic shows anywhere in the area.
Was it up at Shriners then?
No,
Gary's show?
it was the one that used to be in Fairhaven.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, I'm talking about way back beyond that too.
Oh wow!
I've known those guys since when the Radisson on Stewart Street was still the Howard Johnson's 57.
Oh yeah, that is old.
That's way back. We're talking 25 years back. Some of those guys have known for that long. It's yeah, super old school. Super old school.
That's cool.
Yeah. Back from when I was a kid.
Literally.
Yeah, literally a kid. Like I have kids who are almost as old as my daughter is almost as old as I was when I started going to my first comic book shows by myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's crazy.
Well, it was cool hanging out. I just looked up and saw that we've been shooting the bull for over 2.5 hours. This is my longest podcast ever.
Right on. Well, you can get me talking. I'll talk forever. So, it was good talking with you. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate that.
Make sure you check out Mike on Instagram at Sherpa12345, or you can find him on Facebook just under Mike Doherty, and you can hit him up in the DMs, get some commissioned artwork or anything that you've seen in pictures today that you have interest in. If he doesn't have it, he'll make one for you. That's what he does.
Yes, I will. Let me know.
But we want to thank everybody for tuning in and checking out and just hanging out while we geeked out for a couple hours. And we will see you again real soon. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow night. Thomas and I will be back with a new episode of OK Boomer. We're going to take a look at All-Star Squadron #1 from DC Comics tomorrow night. Until then, have a great day. Stay safe. And read some comic books.
Right on. Thanks, Will.
Thank you.